My grandma has some really bad internet. And I mean really bad. So you know dial-up, right? Sounds a little something like this. It's really annoying and it's really loud. Well, the next step up from dial-up was DSL. Then the next step up, DSL plus, ADSL, all that. DSL basically, a phone service only uses 15% of a phone cable. And that leaves all that other space for internet. But that internet is really slow because they only use another 15% for that internet. So we have stuff. And we're going to be using Xfinity. Which, I mean, I didn't want this specific modem, but there are not a lot that have phone service, and like, it's fine. It's really fine. It's got support for 2 phone lines. It's got support for a router, of course, coax, and there's also a power jack. I mean, that's kind of normal, but we need some faster internet. I bought this router for 35 bucks. You know what I didn't buy for 35 bucks? Both of these, each 100 bucks. But I bought this for like 30 bucks because that's all I needed. This is what's called a PoE switch. And basically, it can actually output power through Ethernet up to, I think, 56 watts. So each port can output power to one access point. We only have 2 access points. Our house isn't too big. But we have our PoE switch. And with Xfinity, she does have Xfinity wiring, so we can get about 300 download on here. Now, I've already opened this, but solid metal, not the best metal, but still pretty good. And mounting on the wall. 5 Ethernet ports. This one's for input, no PoE. The other 4 have PoE out. And then we got the heftiest power brick I've seen, like ever, for a network switch. And for a network switch, I would 99% of the time go with a Netgear, but none of their PoE stuff has been updated in like 5 years. So that's what we're going for. It also comes with some little rubber feet. That's cool. But the next stuff up are these access points. These are UniFi U6 lights. I've been watching them go on sale, go off sale, and get in stock and get off stock for a while, almost a year now. And then I finally pulled the trigger and I bought 2 of them. The maximum to buy, I think, was 4. And these guys are little Wi-Fi 6 U6 light access points that broadcast like blazingly fast internet, like really fast, over Wi-Fi. And yeah, you could get a Wi-Fi 6 router for much less. But these, you don't have to unplug and replug them. You don't have to do any of that. If I needed to do any of that, could do it remotely. And this, not so much. And that's why I picked these access points. I actually, now, bad box design, okay? I didn't do that on purpose. I'm not going to host a UniFi portal or controller at her house. I have one that's hosted in the cloud. That was not planned, but I was really struggling with that box. So I'm actually going to be hosting it in the cloud, which is nice and golly and jolly. But why am I doing it? Here's why. If I ever need to VPN into her house to restart a router or do anything like that, it's going to be really hard. My house, with the Ubiquiti AP-AC Pros, are on a cloud-based controller. And why did I do that? Well, it's easy. I can update it. It doesn't take up space in the house, and it's just easier for me to manage remotely. I don't have to VPN in, which is great and golly and jolly, you know? So that's what I did. And I think it was the right decision. So yeah, this is a little mounting plate for it that I forgot how to take off, so I'm gonna go figure this out. And it still really hurts, but okay. iFixit toolkit. And I love this thing. I got it for Christmas. Best Christmas gift I've ever gotten. I know it is the cheapest one, but it's fine for me. Just like that. And that is the, why is it sticky? Ew. Oh, I know why. Ugh. I was taking apart a Kindle earlier. Okay, so yeah, this is AP6 Lite. Now 1.2 gigs down on Wi-Fi 6 and 300 down on 2.4 gigahertz, which is pretty good. And this little guy is the size of my hand, and it still has more range than the huge access points I have in my room. So, yep, we just got to do the same thing for the next one, and I'll show you how to set these up and add them to a remote controller, which can be a little bit tricky at times, but I'll walk you through it. Now on to the next thing. And the next thing is our router. I have so much trash on this table, let me clean up. Okay, the next thing, the $35 router. Why did I get a $35 router? You might be yelling, oh, the range is gonna be terrible. Well, I mean, I bought really good access points for a reason, right? And why did I get this specific one? Well, first of all, I got scammed somehow on Amazon. I get scammed a lot. So I got a 1 gigabit Linksys, like cheapo $17 router, right? And it wasn't 1 gig, 100 megabit. So fast Ethernet, which is not really that fast. And I didn't like that. And the range was terrible. Didn't even last through my whole house, and my house is small. So we got this. It's a TP-Link router with their one mesh thing, which I didn't really care about. What I did care about was it was $30, and it was fast as long as I needed. If I needed to use it as a backup, I could. And that's what's important. It does have their one mesh system built in, which, to best explain it, is a bunch of way overpriced Wi-Fi extenders can work with this and actually make it one Wi-Fi name, even though those access points and those Wi-Fi extenders cost just as much as Ubiquiti access points. And this is the router. And I've seen a lot of people who don't actually speak English reviewing this, so now that I do speak English, I can actually show you guys and not have to deal with that, you know? Comes with Cat 5e Ethernet. It's got a rubberized texture, almost like a Apple iPhone Lightning adapter. Interesting. So, it's decently small. It's got a nice texture here. Doesn't sound that good, does it? It's got 4 antennas, 4 gigabit LAN ports, which is local area network to all your devices, and it's got a WAN port. And now one thing to note with these access points, these are wired. They are not wireless, they do require power, but it's only over one port, and that's why I have that PoE switch that can transfer electricity over that one cord as well as internet. So, the reason that I have 2 of them is her walls are mostly very thick, and she has a giant brick fireplace in the way. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have 2 access points, and they have to be far apart. Why do they have to be far apart? We have 2 at the exact opposites of the house because we couldn't run a cable right there. And when you have 2 access points broadcasting the same name, your phone, especially iPhones, are gonna be fighting between, oh, do I connect to this one? Oh, this one, whichever one has the slightly better connectivity, which could be either at any time because you're right next to them. It could be connecting to either. So you need to, if you can't run it to the center of the house, which she has vaulted ceilings, so we can't, you have to put one on one end and one at the other. And that's what we did. So that's why we have 2 access points, and that's why we have all this elaborate stuff. It's not very elaborate, in my opinion. It's actually just a good setup. So now we can do peels. I love peels. Oh, come on. Saddest peel in the universe. And one of the reasons why we're doing this setup is, first of all, Xfinity's Xfi is not very good. And second of all, we need to not be paying $20 a month for a router. The fact that they charge $18 a month plus tax, which is basically $20 a month, on a router that you're paying a lot of money already for their service is terrible. And yeah, they have their little mesh pods, but that's not going to get through brick. Not going to get through concrete. It's going to get through drywall. These are going to get through brick and concrete. And of course, through drywall. But let's switch over to the other room to start going. Okay, we're in my testing room and we have all the hardware set up. We have the router, the switch, and the 2 access points. The first thing we are going to set up is the router. So, I'm just going to try to wrap my cable around the camera because I'm wired to the stupid computer. So, we have this router, and we are going to plug first our quote-unquote WAN cable. This would be coming from the modem, but right now I'm just setting it up at home. We have a couple months to wait till our other products come in. And that part 2 will be actually setting it up on site. So, we're plugging it into power. And we have, get these out of the way. In a few seconds, oh, power button on the back. And now we have lights. Great. Now we're just waiting. Playing the waiting game, babe. We're playing the waiting game here. I'll zoom in for you guys. So right now it's booting, which is normal. And I have just remembered that I do have to plug this in directly to my computer in order to get the setup going. So, I'm going to grab an Ethernet cable, plug it into one of the yellow ports on the back. And the yellow is what connects a computer, a smart access point, or anything like that. The blue is what connects you to the outer internet. That's why there's only one port that's blue. So I'm going to disconnect the internet from my computer, and I'm going to plug it into the router. And the cable's kind of short. So, there we go. Now my computer is connecting. Right now we have no internet because the router is still booting. But it's almost done. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our web browser. I use Edge. And we're going to go to 192.168.0.1. I can't remember. Yes. 192.168.0.1. And it's actually going to load into a website. Now we have to find a password we'd like to create. So I want this to be really easy. So I'm just gonna, do a little turn here. Doesn't have a default password. Huh. That's fine. We're fine. I'll just generate something without you guys seeing. I have no internet. Yeah, I would have thought that. Let's see, I'll do it on my phone then. Let's get started. Take a screenshot of that on my phone. Okay. So we're going to select our time zone. I am in Eastern time. So Eastern time, US and Canada. Press next. So right now, we're just going to select our internet connection type. It's very easy. You just press auto detect. It'll run through all of them. And it's dynamic IP. That's the most universal one. We're going to press do not clone because Xfinity does not require that. And we are going to enable the wireless radio. I'm just gonna put in the default password, but I will later change it, so you're not gonna steal all my stuff, are you? We'll press next, save, and it's just gonna do a quick old reboot. And then we're gonna be done, basically. This is great. But there are a few more things we can look at in this router, because there are a few updates and all that. Congratulations, enjoy the internet. Log in later, because I do not need a TP-Link ID. So we have one wired client, which is my computer, and we're gonna run a quick old speed test and see what we get. I'm gonna cover my IP address, of course. It is taking a while, which is odd. But there we go, we shot up to basically gigabit speeds. We're not gonna get her gigabit, but she's gonna basically have gigabit, so it's fine. So yeah, we're getting about 900 megabits down and 900 megabits up. This is over a cable though. Ooh, the upload speed is not doing too good. I mean, it's fine. Her upload is gonna be like 30 up, because we have fiber and she's gonna have coax. Yeah, something happened with that test. That was weird. But now we can see, this is the network map. It's gonna show you all of your clients. And I'm gonna blur this. You can press on internet, and that's just some auto-detecting stuff. Wireless, and those are your Wi-Fi connections. This is really easy to set up, obviously. It's really a great thing. Set up a guest network, which is actually really great, because you can siphon off a part of your network for guests that is only accessible by guests, and they cannot see anything inside your full network. Which is cool. It's great for smart devices like IoT. Quality of service, you can just turn that on, and then that'll see what you got, and then you can make devices a priority based on what they are. Cloud functions we don't need. And One Mesh basically lets you connect a number of TP-Link devices together in order to be, you know, one network that has a longer range. So now we can go to advanced and see all this other stuff. Network, DHCP server, dynamic DNS, IPTV. It's really easy stuff. DHCP server, dynamic DNS provider, which is, you need to have a TP-Link ID to use a TP-Link, and no IP and all that. Okay. So you can just create some routing information, which is actually really great. And that's some important stuff that you could do. This is just a Wi-Fi extender mode, which is wired. Wireless settings, so that's just some more in-depth Wi-Fi stuff. All this One Mesh, that's the same kind of thing. Guest network, parental controls, which is annoying because parental controls are stupid. Security, you can do a firewall, which you can disable, you know, direct and distributed denial of service, which is great. Access control, MAC binding, port forwarding, which is cool, and a VPN server, which is cool as well. So you can actually have a VPN server where a device from outside your network can connect, and it's gonna feel like you're actually in that VPN server network, you know. So I could be at home and I can access my grandmother's network, and that would still work. And there are many other types of VPNs that you can enable. SmartLife, ALEXA. Tell TP-Link to prioritize gaming. Time settings, LED control, and we're gonna do an upgrade. Okay, so I'm back, and we are ready. It just finished updating, so we have that screen, and we're ready to plug in some access points, which is great because access points equal happiness. Access points are the only source of happiness. It looks like the switch ran away. Nope, it's right here. So we plug the switch into its big, hefty power brick, heftier than the router itself. And we're gonna plug it in and wait for it to, wait 5 seconds for all these lights to flash. Sometimes it does it, sometimes it just skips through that. We're gonna grab an Ethernet cable and we're gonna plug in the first access point. We're only gonna plug in one at a time, and I've already labeled these. So we're gonna plug in access point 1. This is access point 2, and we're gonna plug in access point 1. And through this one cable, once we plug this in, if you give it like a few seconds, you'll see these lights spring to life. See, these lights are turned on, so the access point's booting. And very slightly, you can see a little light coming out of there. And we are going to show you how to actually adopt these to a remote controller. So we're gonna grab this, plug it into one of these yellow ports on the back, and plug it into the port, especially on this switch, all the way to the right, so we don't fry our router. You know, there we go. Right there, we have router connectivity. And then we're going to reload this page. Now it says we have one wired client, we just gotta give it a minute. And if it doesn't add itself to the network, which it just did, just unplug and replug the access point. So the name is asterisk. We are just going to name it AP-1, which stands for access point 1. And you see this number? This is very important. The default login to our access points is UBNT is the username and UBNT is the password. So we're going to type in a command called SSH. Oops, my computer just froze up. Do we have audio? Yes, we do. So we're going to type in SSH and then UBNT and then the @ the IP address of our access point. We are going to type in yes, and the password is UBNT. Ooh, it's so scary. This is only if you want to connect it to a remote controller, okay? Skip to this time code to see the other stuff. But to connect it to a remote one, you're going to type in set inform, and then the remote. Okay, we're going to go to Unify login and click here, unify.ui.com. It's going to load into a new console, and we are going to log in. There we go. Okay. To get to this point, remember that you have to have a Unify controller set up in the cloud. There's a video linked in the description that'll help you set it up. And there's a second one if that first one doesn't work. Skip to these times to do a self-hosted Unify controller on your computer, which is what most people will need. So you see how it says the name of my controller? We're going to press here, and it says details. This is our inform URL. We're just going to copy it. And then we are going to go here, right click, paste. Now this has our inform address. Now we're going to go into our controller, switch over to our other site, and I'm just going to... In order to get to this screen, in order to get to this website, you're going to need to have the Unify controller program installed. The link is right here. It says adoption required, so we're just going to press adopt. And this IP address is inaccurate. I don't know why, but it is. But right now it's adopting our access point, and it's going to be creating a new network. Okay, now it's provisioning our access point and giving it any updates it needs. And we're ready to plug in the next access point. I had to find a cable because I don't have a lot left. Repeat the same process to add the next access point. Now we're going to see here, oh, look at that! Our new access point already popped up. So we're just going to press adopt, and the access point's going to join onto our network. Now, this does look like a little bit of a more fleshed out system, I think. I don't know. Okay, so if you're not connecting this to a outside network, you're just going to press adopt right over here, and it's going to add your access point as long as your controller is on the same network and you have it installed in your network. That's all you need to do. If your controller does go offline while these access points are on and running, there is no problem, nothing's going to stop working. Wi-Fi is still going to go. So right now the access point is provisioning all the updates and stuff, and then we can get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is click on the access point, little gear, and set the name to AP-2, second access point. I'm going to stop our video recording because all we need is to be on the PC. Okay, the access point just turned blue. Okay, I've just done an update and it does look a little bit different, the interface, but everything should be the same. This is how you're going to see it. You're going to press on the gear and you're going to see Wi-Fi right here. You're going to press add new Wi-Fi network. It's going to enable and you're going to add a name, which is going to be this. You can add whatever name you want. It doesn't really matter. And I'm going to put in a password of my choice. Give them something memorable, that you can memorize pretty easily. And you'll see security. We're going to keep this at WPA2. WPA3 isn't supported on a lot of devices. We're going to wait for that to come on, and that'll be soon. Beacon controls, and you can schedule the Wi-Fi network, but we don't need that. We're just going to press add, and you're going to check these access points again, and they're going to be provisioning. So we're just going to give them a couple minutes. So the access points right now are still provisioning. See, AP2 has just turned green, and they're now broadcasting a network. As you can see, if I press Wi-Fi, we see our new network right here. I have an iPhone, which has Wi-Fi 6, so I'm going to test it on there.